gender pronouns.
Hmm.
I have a 17-year-old daughter, and she will have a friend that is transgender, and I've noticed that through conversations with her, sometimes I'll think she's getting a ride from her friend, and then she'll say they them, and then I think for some reason her friend's parents are coming over because it's confusing at that point. Because she'll say my so and so is bringing me home. They'll probably bring me in a few hours or something, and I'm like, what? Her parents are coming over, or so and so's parents are coming over?
Uh,
Do you think it's too confusing to use they and them, or would do you prefer any of the words that are used, that are kind of more that we've never used before, that are like their own words, or do you think it's fine?
I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I adapted it into my lexicon pretty easily. It's probably just a familiarity thing. Like the problem here is that the only like person affiliated non-gendered pronoun that we had was also the one we used for plurals. It's so that's just kind of a flaw in the English language, you know. I can understand the ambiguity. There are other languages, of course, that do this as well. Like they'll have pronouns that can be singular or plural depending on their usage, and you have to infer through context what they are. For the most part, I just use they to refer to people because in the spaces that I'm in, there are just so many trans and non-binary. Well, non-binary people are trans, but there are so many trans people that I just don't want to assume for the most part. And when I say that, I feel like to use some of my old terminology there, it feels like I should feel cucked, you know, like, oh God, let me walk on eggshells to avoid offending people with my language. But like honestly, it doesn't bother me at all. It's pretty easy. On reflection, I think I kind of always did that because I usually talk ahead of my thoughts anyway. So ever since I was young, I've always kind of just um, used they in a singular sense anyway, because I often don't know how to structure the sentence right before it actually comes out, if that makes any sense. Basically, the less thought that I have to put in to the semantic construction of a sentence, the easier for me. And they is almost never wrong. So it works for me.
Okay, excellent. Brianna.
I think it's a familiarity thing, Jason,
Mhm.
because like I've been a health writer and editor for years, way before a lot of this became mainstream. We switched from using like he, she to just saying they in text, and so you just get used to it, basically. So you just have
Yeah,
to
I never
practice.
got the he she thing. The people who before to use plural, they would go like the he she for ambiguity or for plural
Mm.
or whatever. That always seemed way more awkward to me than just using they. I have no idea how that came to be like standard practice in some publications.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, how I finally came to terms with it was I realized that I have a very small, uh, I have a very small obstacle to get over with my confusion, whereas someone that is transgender has way more to worry about and way more to deal with. So I was like, you know what, I need to chill out, and I figured it out. So I'm good with
I
that
don't
now.
really mind the ambiguity from a political perspective as well, because I feel like it can be kind of I think it's interesting how people's minds work when they form assumptions based off of the gendered pronouns that you use if you don't use any, like if you just use they them. So for example, if you just use they them to refer to people who are like at a sporting match, or like you met x or y person at the bar, I feel like people have a lot of pre-existing assumptions when it comes to like which genders are doing what. And when you use they, I feel like that arbitrarity is kind of thrown into sharp focus, which I think is a little bit interesting just from an introspective perspective.